nicer. I've never used them before.
Everyone on planet Earth has probably now seen the 3 scandalous photo shoots produced by this luxury fashion brand. The internet has become a blazing inferno of backlash, and for a very good reason. A bunch of you have asked me what these symbols mean, so I want to step away from the videos I'm currently working on and spend a few minutes with you to decode these images because they are broadcasting what I think is a very specific message. I'm going to throw a little movie salt on this thing, so let's get into it. The first shoot included 6 images of child models centered in a setting to promote what the luxury brand considers its holiday gift shop. This is their holiday campaign. Apparently, this company, which has catered to the wealthy elite since its inception, finds these products somehow related to the holiday season. I think it's important to point out that none of these products being showcased for this holiday campaign are for children. The models are staged with teddy bears wearing you-know-what kind of gear, questionable gear, that include wrist and ankle restraints, dog collars and locks, and ratty hair surrounded by a strangely controlled ordering of a multitude of offerings from their holiday product line. I'll circle back to these photos in a minute. In another shoot, one of the photos displays a handbag resting atop a scattered pile of papers. Look a bit closer, and one of the documents is revealed to be from a Supreme Court case that involved a man who used a public internet chat forum to exchange explicit materials of his daughter with others in the group. There isn't anything to say about this photo except the obvious, especially when you combine these visual statements with the other photos in the collection. Clearly, it's a subliminal ideological message that speaks loud and clear. I've talked at length about normalization campaigns. Feel free to watch some of my other videos, which I will link for you below and also include in the companion article for this video found at my website at saltradioministries.com for more information on the strategy behind this high-dollar social engineering effort designed to normalize unspeakable behavior and the Keynesian, Crowleyan philosophies in the name of progressivism and religious liberation, along with the globalist organizations and institutions who are behind these campaigns. Here's a couple clips of those videos so you get the idea. The woman shown in this picture is a research professor and author who has spent most of her 40-plus year career exposing a psychological operation that was developed by atheist and eugenicist Alfred Kinsey and generously funded by the Rockefeller Foundation. Kinsey's ideas went on to saturate American academia and the culture and dramatically redefined our ideas of human sexuality in the science and academic realms. She spoke of a conference in Baltimore, Maryland in August of 2011 that she and a colleague had attended. Attending the conference were researchers, scholars, mental health practitioners. But for this video, I will focus on decoding the symbols found in these images. By the way, when I do videos like this, they typically are immediately demoneyed or limited, if you know what I mean. The best way to support my work, this channel, and this ministry is to take 2 seconds out of your day and hit those like and subscribe buttons, and to please leave a comment below. And of course, your prayerful donations are an enormous help too. After the backlash from the first 6 photos, the images were quickly replaced with a new set which, in my opinion, does not improve the situation at all. If anything, they reveal even more of this diabolical aesthetic that they are attempting to create. I find this image particularly telling. This shot is so full of symbolism, it's obnoxious. I'm going to walk you through this and give you my analysis of what I think they represent. One thing I noticed right off the bat, in the lower left corner, there's a child's drawing of a burning house, very similar to the one depicted in I, Pet Goat 2. In my opinion, the burning house and I Pet Goat could have multi-layered interpretations, but I think the main takeaway is the destruction of the family and property ownership as part of this revolution for the reset that's trying to take place on the world stage. It's difficult to make out in this photo, but if you look closely, there is a stick figure standing outside of the burning house with a dunce cap on and a pentagram next to the roof. To me, this suggests that this visual message is coming from a very specific group, and well, they don't have any new material. It's the same old song. Say hello to the new boss, same as the old boss. This rough pictogram here starts at the bottom and moves upward. It ascends with the destruction of the old, and the individual depicted here at the bottom is still a dunce, a novice. He has not yet evolved. Moving upward, there is a myriad of stick figures appearing to rise like phoenix from the nest of flames and smoke. One appears to be the head of a green-horned entity. The Green Man is a pagan deity representing the cycle of rebirth, which applies both to nature and philosophically to man. The Green Man has had many manifestations along the course of history, including the Egyptian god Osiris, who represents rebirth and resurrection. Other related gods are Odin, Dionysus, and even Shiva. In esoteric Sufi tradition, the Green Man, or Keter, is this sort of intercessory deity between the imaginary realm and the physical world. Continuing upward, there seems to be a male stick figure fading in the background with a more prominent female figure rising just above it and sort of tethered to it, suggesting that this is a being that is being transformed into a female as part of some kind of transformation. It's evolution from a transhumanist perspective. There is a series of dates lined up on the right side of the column here. I don't have time at the moment to get all Nick Cage on you to decipher these dates, but I'm curious as to what they could represent. If any of you know, please comment below. On the right are two dolphins, or the symbol of the double dolphin, and you can see dolphins in other places on the walls here. This is an esoteric symbol primarily used in Freemasonry. What comes to mind for me is the Hymn to Apollo by Homer, an ancient Greek poem about a dolphin who fell in love with a poor schoolboy. Each day the boy would call to his dolphin friend and it would carry him across the bay to school. One day the boy falls mortally ill with a disease and couldn't come to the dolphin anymore, but the dolphin, stricken with grief, returned daily to their meeting place like a mourner at the side of a grave, until the dolphin, weakened by its broken heart, dies. Other variations of the story tell that the boy died while clinging to the dolphin's back, who carried him up to the shore and then laid down and died by his side. This magical companionship can be symbolized by the double dolphin. These are allegories for the notion of magical enchantment, which is also connected to a benevolent relationship with higher beings. In the esoteric tradition, dolphins are considered magical beings, friends of man, messengers from the gods connected to Atlantis. Dolphins are considered highly evolved and the most intelligent beings on Earth, capable of things like telepathy and healing the sick. New Age occultists are big on the dolphin. They are thought to be able to put humans in a trance to facilitate spirit possession. They are also thought to be able to carry the spirits of the dead to the underworld. At the top, very prominent in black ink, is what appears to be a three-horned entity wearing a frown and in his left hand holding a very small being. The first account of a three-horned pagan deity is the ancient Edomite god, Kos. While Kos is recorded as a masculine god, three horns typically suggest a goddess, a female entity, with the horns representing the triple goddess and also the pagan trinity. However, in this case, this deity, Kos, is hermaphroditic, but its name remains masculine, holding fast to the Gnostic tradition. Kos is the warrior god of the storm, represented by the bow as in bow and arrow, as lightning, and the rainbow. Kos is the god of the rainbow. Some suggest that Kos was actually Yahweh, but known by a different name to the Edomites. The scholarship on this is decidedly weak. Yahweh is a title, not a name, and while powerful storms are an excellent representation of divine power, the God of the Bible is the God of everything, not just the weather. It is fair to suggest that Yahweh, the God of Israel, could have been known in some measure to Esau, but Esau's descendants quickly rejected the God of Israel anyway and worshipped a pantheon of pagan deities with Kos as their main god. The Edomites were people who descended from Esau, the twin brother of Jacob. While Jacob's line was chosen by God to become the 12 tribes of Israel, Esau's line was rejected for this course of history. Esau's descendants utterly rejected the God of Israel, hated Israel with the intensity of 1,000 sons, and fervently followed pagan gods. For example, all 4 of the King Herods were Edomites. The Edomites eventually spread out, intermingling their line with many peoples surrounding Israel in the north, east, and south. There's a good bit of scholarship that strongly suggests the Edomites of today include neighboring Arabs, but are predominantly Eastern Europeans who have descended from the KZs. Edom is very connected to end-time prophecy, and one only has to read the book of Obadiah to understand this. For example, the book The Kybalion, said to be written by Hermes Trismegistus himself, but was actually written in 1903, I believe, by a man named William Walker Atkinson, one of the founders of the New Thought movement, or what he referred to as mental science, which is this theosophical Rosicrucian offshoot of which they believed they could manifest their own reality by the power of their thoughts. Followers of the New Thought movement believed that, quote, true human selfhood is divine, end quote, which comes from one's connection with a quote-unquote universal energy force. The New Thought movement and the Unity Church placed strong emphasis on wealth and prosperity, believing that this strong force could be manipulated at will by the power of one's thoughts and feelings to determine one's own destiny. If you haven't figured it out yet, yes, this is witchcraft, and this is where the prosperity gospel comes from. This fraudulent book, The Kybalion, which claims to channel in a simplified and orderly fashion the philosophies of Hermes Trismegistus, has within it 7 principles. Among these principles, and borrowing from a theosophical version of Eastern mysticism, is the notion that everything in creation, everything in reality is just an illusion. It's simply mind consciousness, mind interpretation. Everything for these people is mind. Another of the principles is that there exists no duality. There are no opposing forces. Everything is one force with different degrees on a spectrum. This is very convenient, of course, because it suggests that there is no evil. There is no dysfunction or fallen state in creation. With this logic, for example, knowledge and ignorance are the same. They are one single concept. Also, hot and cold. Cold just being the absence of hot. You get the idea. Of course, Atkinson applies this same logic to the last principle in the 7 regarding GENDER, which he claims exists on a higher plane. He takes it to the atomic level in an incoherent pseudoscientific rambling that claims that even atoms are comprised of the forces of both the masculine and the feminine. The recombining of these twin forces within physical law represents perfection. It's another great undoing, if you will. They believe it is the teachings of the Bible that ruined this knowledge or gnosis among mankind. Now everyone feels disconnected and separated from each other and nature and the cosmos, and the goal of the Hermeticists is to recombine these mental twin forces to achieve some kind of evolutionary perfection and return to the original divine nature. Listen to Mark Passio speak about this principle. Now you have to watch out for this guy. Many of you think he's part of the truth movement. He most definitely is not. He's a former member of the Church of Satan who spends all of his time peddling his version of the very same philosophy of quote-unquote natural law. He's very deceptive, but not very clever at it, however. He disguises dark occultism, this satanic dark occultism, as some kind of practical white magic or something, and basically repackages the New Thought movement for his socialist anarchist comrades of today.
That's what hot and cold are at the fundamental level. At our level of perception, they're opposites, but at the fundamental level, they're the same thing. Energy or lack thereof. Just like those 3 stages of the trivium. Are knowledge and ignorance the same thing? Yeah, actually they are. Because truth is always present. It's a matter of whether it's taken in and processed, or whether it's refused to be taken in and it's not processed. They're identical in their natures, but they're different in their degree. Okay? Extremes can meet and blend and, play with each other, like as depicted in the yin-yang symbol, masculine and feminine. They need to be blended. And at some level of reality, everything that is seemingly contradictory may be reconciled. Now again, I stress the term at some level. At the unified field level, everything is consciousness, pure consciousness. However, at this level, there are differences in consciousness. At this level, there are things that are taking place that we need to understand. At this level, there are things that we need to set right and rectify, because it does matter.
So have you studied the Hermetics at all?
No.
Are you interested in it?
Yes.
Have you heard about them at all?
Sure.
This thing?
Please.
Have you heard of a book called The Kabbalion?
No.
Well, this should be right up your street. The Hermetics were Egyptians. It's where the Freemasons came from, and the alchemists and the people in the Middle Ages who preserved, the culture when the Dark Ages came. And the Hermetics comes from Hermes Trismegistos, Hermes thrice great, who was supposedly the wisest man or avatar or god from the Egyptian period. And the Kabbalion was their book. I don't know if the actual Kabbalion still exists, but they had a whole deep philosophy that is a lot like this. You want me to talk about this for a second?
Sure, yeah, please.
I mean, there were I think the Hermetics had 7 principles. I'll see if I can remember what they are. The first one is that you and I have no physical existence as entities. We exist entirely as thoughts in the mind of the All, or God. And they believe that the universe was entirely mental. That's what this was. That there really is no physical existence. And that it was all vibrational. And that one of the things they believed was that there's no such thing as opposites. Heat and cold are not opposites. Fear and courage are not opposites. They are just points on a continuum. And so this is where the alchemy came in. They believed that if they could change their vibration, or change the vibration of lead, that they could change it into gold. And they also believe that everything is male and female, that everything is created comes from the union of male and female in the highest levels. What he talks about is when you get to that state of no mind, no thing, no presence, that the only thing that exists is vibration and consciousness. And that would be straight out of Hermetic philosophy.
These people believed in a pre-Adamic race of people, the Atlanteans, if you will, that lived on the Earth 100,000 years ago. These people were believed to be a highly advanced civilization. What the Bible calls the Watchers, they twist to their own satisfaction. No surprise there. The Bible tells us that the technological advancements the Watchers brought to man were destructive, the rejected mysteries, as Enoch put it. In other words, garbage information designed to bring the destruction of mankind. The occultists want you to believe that they are the real truth, and the God of the Bible doesn't want you to know how to liberate yourself. Anyway, if you want to learn more about this line of thinking and the New Thought movement and the satanic Gnostic connection to all of this, you can watch my video on Metaverse Multiverse. The three-horned god of the ancient Edomites is where the Baphomet was derived. So if you ask me, the prominent three-horned stick figure at the top of this panel of the wall represents the Baphomet. Moving on to the next section of the wall here, starting at the bottom is one of their products, the Funky Bear, equipped with all the accoutrements, with darkened, heavily made-up eyes. Why would a luxury brand create such an item? Some are calling this zombie chic. I'll circle back to that in a minute. Above the bear is a symbol for water. In this context, probably symbolizes evolution and maybe emotion. Above it is the earth and then more water. At the top of this section is a raven. The raven is believed to be the divine harbinger of cosmic secrets, the bearer of magical forces, and able to foresee the future. It is an occult symbol for a communicator of deep mysteries, of powerful wisdom, and holds vast knowledge or gnosis. In Greek and Roman cultures, it's considered to be a solar animal affiliated associated with Apollo, related to light and wisdom. In Norse mythology, it symbolizes mind and intelligence, of which the raven works as a guide. Can I just say, just the idea of scribbling all over the walls seems to symbolize rebellion and naughtiness, which for these people probably represents some type of liberation, a rebellious defying of authority, drawing outside of the lines, if you know what I mean. On the next section of wall, there are a lot of sharks and dolphins and something that looks like a white owl. This is more esoteric evolutionist symbolism and nature worship that is typically found on the Freemasonic end of the esoteric tradition. On the floor just in front is a stack of books that look like a vintage set of comics by Belgian cartoonist Maurice de Bavir, otherwise known as Morris, who was the creator of the comic series Lucky Luke, a best-selling comic series from the 1940s. Morris was instrumental to the creation of the lefty, satirical, countercultural Mad magazine. Of course, one of Lucky Luke's jobs in the comic series was to guard the Wells Fargo stagecoaches. Some of you have asked me to try to figure out what the alphabet letters spilled out on the floor here might be spelling. I don't think we have anything significant here, but I do notice two words that stand out immediately. And right next to the letters, this roll of tape, which the purpose of this product, especially in the holiday product line, remains dubious to me. With every item in these photo shoots appearing to be meticulously placed, I find it odd that they would neglect to see that the tape is misspelling the brand's name. This is not an accident, in my opinion. The tape purposefully spelling the word Baal. Moving over to the other side, there is a drawing of a devil-type character in what looks like an army barracks. The white rabbit represents following one's curiosity into the unknown realm. Alice follows the white rabbit into Wonderland, where she learns about her quote-unquote true self and the world around her, in which she discovers everyone is a little crazy. The lesson is to dream of things that seemed previously impossible and to follow the white rabbit down the rabbit hole to get exactly where you need to be. In the Matrix, following the white rabbit allows Neo to move in and out of the Matrix. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the boy is wearing red shoes while standing next to what looks like a black hood.